Fightful Select is reporting that sources have told them that Bray Wyatt is currently out due to a physical issue, and that they haven't heard from people within WWE about Bray having any issues with his creative. Fightful adds that Bray has been scheduled for other appearances on SmackDown and at live events, but was pulled due to the physical issue, and sources were unable to provide a timetable for Wyatt's return. On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer himself confirmed that Wyatt is dealing with some sort of physical issue and that his match against Lashley would still happen at WrestleMania, saying this: "From what I understand, the match is still on for Mania, and Wyatt should be back very soon, so we'll see." That's pretty much all I can say. There is something to it, but I'm not at liberty to discuss it. As far as I know, everything that I've been told is that it's not a creative issue or anything like that. So, our best goes out to Bray Wyatt. Hopefully, whatever this physical issue is gets resolved so we can see him back at WrestleMania. His creative has been a bit up and down since a really, really compelling return campaign that they staged, and some interesting potential stuff with the Uncle Howdy stuff. But overall, be it that they chose Bray Wyatt, the guy who has, the sort of, a lot of people, myself included, have felt over the past 10 years this guy could be heir to The Undertaker with the amount of mystique that he's got behind his character and the obvious creativity that he brings to the table. Sort of a misfire left and right with Bray Wyatt over the years, and recent creative really not very different.
No, I mean, the history of Bray Wyatt and WWE is a lot of good ideas, a lot of bad follow-through. Or uneven follow-through. Yeah. I mean, the obvious high point in his career thus far in WWE was the Firefly Funhouse match, which was brilliant. Yeah. It's a brilliant essay about professional wrestling.
Yeah, it really was.
And, you could trace maybe the turning point potentially in all this to his loss to John Cena at WrestleMania 30. Yeah. If he had somehow won the match, or at least won the battle of ideas, and lost because he actually essentially made Cena cheat to win, that's good, compelling stuff. Yeah. But he lost the battle of ideas, and he lost the match too. And then from that point, it was like, all right, why should I take this guy seriously?
Yeah, there's been a number of opportunities, and people, because the setup is always so good with Bray Wyatt. Yeah. People, I hate to compare it to the whole, Charlie Brown with the football thing, but, I sort of mentioned this fairly recently. I think at a certain point, us, the people who do enjoy that aspect of Bray Wyatt just need to appreciate the build, because at the end of the day, you're running ropes. And what did I say about Uncle Hardy? The day we see him running ropes.
Howdy.
What did I say? Uncle Hardy?
Hardy, yeah.
Uncle Howdy. I wanted to see him run ropes because it'd be so goofy, and it turns out it was really goofy, Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's just, you got to appreciate what you have when you have it with Bray Wyatt, because you got to know at some point it's going to turn into a Mountain Dew match.
Yeah, I know.
and I don't know how to fix that. I mean, look, I'll put it this way. There are some things maybe that just aren't made to be, and you have said this before. When he left and he was doing Hollywood stuff, maybe wrestling just is too tough of a nut to crack when it comes to Bray Wyatt, what he brings to the table, what his strengths are. I'm interested to see whatever that movie is he was working on, but maybe at the end of the day, it's just dudes running ropes. That's where your storyline payoff is.
I know. To a degree, I'm starting to feel that same way for a different reason about the Bloodline story. To a degree, that there's such good stuff there that at the end it has to come down to people running ropes and having a match. And in a lot of respects, given the emotional heft of a lot of the Bloodline stuff, having a wrestling match just kind of seems underwhelming compared to a lot of the other stuff that's going on there. As far as a payoff.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have this conversation, because I'm with you on that. We'll talk about that during our Raw recap, because a lot of Bloodline stuff was going down with Kevin Owens. And
but as far as Bray, in terms of some of the ideas he was working with in the build-up to these matches, like, wow, this is some really good stuff, but then it has to culminate in a wrestling ring, and it's like, that is probably no greater example of that than the Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. There's some huge movie ideas they're working with there in terms of having someone that's so overpowered, that's such a threat, that the only way Seth felt like he could escape from that match was attempted murder.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah. And then people get pissed off when the hero tries to murder the bad guy. Oh, and the ref stops it because what is it? It's a wrestling match. You're not supposed to murder people. I know it's Hell in a Cell. I know I know everybody sees Undertaker throwing Mick Foley off top of Hell in a Cell. Well, they didn't stop that. They kept let the match going. Well, yeah, they probably actually should have stopped that.
Yeah, they probably should have
stopped. To be honest with you, because we almost saw a guy die. But yeah, dude, I think with certain things, you know who he kind of reminds me of? Future Going in Raw co-owner Luke Owen. His favorite wrestler, I think, or one of his top wrestlers is Raven.
Yeah.
Same thing with Raven. It was always just really, really awesome builds. And Raven, if you've listened to any shoot interview where he talks about what he wanted to do in WWE, it was like a 7 stages of hell thing, which I think he later adapted for Impact. But none of the actual payoffs for Raven were ever any good. And it's either he wasn't allowed to fully execute his vision because the higher ups were like, I just don't know this is going to work in a wrestling match, or that sort of vision, same thing with Bray Wyatt, just ain't going to work in a wrestling match. And maybe, I don't know, man, Bray Wyatt is what, a second, third generation guy.
Yeah.
Was IRS his dad? I forget. Is he?
I don't
is
remember.
Bray just second? He's at least
second generation. Yeah.
Maybe Bray's like, hey, I just want to do a bunch of cool shit, and then pay it off in the ring where we're running ropes. Maybe he does get that, and it's just like, it's all about reinvention for him. Let's just keep on pushing the envelope and seeing what interesting stuff we could do in pro wrestling, and that's got to be, people got to be happy with that. Yeah. But they're not. They never are, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of thing is ever going to pan out, but I think as long as he continues to like reinvent himself in interesting ways, people will continue to be intrigued. And then when it doesn't pay off, people are going to still be saying, this never works, you know.
And then he'll reinvent himself again, and the cycle will begin anew.
Right. You know, it's been ages. He's done this a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the reinventions have been small. Some have been pretty major.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.